What's going on, everyone? It's time to talk about the franchise as a whole. Let's rank the Return of the Living Dead franchise. We got 5 movies to talk about, and this is a franchise that I just watched for the first time this year. Starting back in January, when I saw the first one, I saw them, one every couple of months sprinkled throughout. I watched all of them for the first time, and then I revisited them for this review series this month. So, yeah, I enjoy this franchise. I don't think there's a really bad one, but there's one that I wasn't that fond of. I don't think it was dog shit. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. Some people hate 4 and 5, but I thought those movies were not nearly as bad as the IMDb score would suggest. So this isn't a terrible franchise. I actually enjoyed it. And let's get into it. What's my number 5? My number 5 will be number 5, Rave to the Grave. This one is definitely the weakest in the franchise. I definitely can see this one being like a 4 on IMDb, but 3.3 is still a little too low if you ask me. There's definitely some silly things in here for sure that really don't land. Like some of the humor is very cringy in here, but I liked the one Russian character, like the 2 Russian, agents sent to get all the trioxin. They were the comic relief, and some of their humor actually worked. I love some of the chaotic scenes in this movie with like the cheerleaders getting attacked. There's some good moments for sure. It's not all bad, but yeah, the acting's pretty bad. All the characters are like archetypes and just one note and just not memorable. So all that stuff really held it back, and they tried to make it like a super bad zombie movie. I felt like I was watching super bad, just a bunch of college kids partying, trying to get laid, and then they make a zombie pill. Interesting concept, but not executed that well. It's not that entertaining of a flick. The third act could have been way more pumped with like action and gore, but this movie is just very lackluster in that third act. So Rave to the Grave is my number 5. Number 4 will be Necropolis. What I like about this one is that it's more of an action movie than the other ones. This one definitely has like a lot more gunfire. There's tanks rolling in at the end, blasting zombies away. You got these 2 like uber zombies with like machine gun hands and saw blade hand, like they're Cenobites. I thought that was a cool idea, but unfortunately they don't really use those zombies in this movie almost at all. There's a few standout silly moments for sure that I really liked, like the whole tasing the kids scene just to save them, and then the one friend like having sex with the security guard just to help their friends out. Like she's very committed, and so yeah, just stuff like that I really liked. But the acting was pretty piss poor. I think it's the weakest. Again, kind of lackluster in the last act. It could have been a lot bigger than it was, but maybe that was just budget. So number 4 will be Necropolis. Number 3 will go to Return of the Living Dead Part 2. This is the one that's definitely a lot more kid-friendly. It almost feels like it should be PG. There's hardly any zombie gore in the film. It's very like childish humor, very silly, very over the top, like hammy performances. You got James Karen and Tom Matthews back, which I like because I like them as actors. I love them in the first one, so it was cool to see them back in Part 2. I thought the girlfriend was annoying though. I liked the doctor character in the movie. I just wasn't a fan of the kid characters, and there being kids in this movie. It felt way too child friendly for me. I wanted this to be more R feeling, but it felt like a Goosebumps PG zombie flick, so that just didn't work for me. The humor was a little too silly at times, and therefore that's why it's down at number 3 and not any higher. But don't hate the movie, just don't really like it all that much. Not as much as other people. Number 2 will go to Return of the Living Dead Part 3. This movie has one of the sexiest, coolest looking zombies ever created, with Julie, played by Melinda Clarke. She is absolutely stunning. I love the look of her as a zombie. All the shards of glass in her body, the wires and nails. She looks like a Cenobite. Again, like I said about Necropolis, those 2 zombie soldiers. Again, with this one, she looks even more awesome. And I love that this one's more of a serious love story, but still kind of has some humorous moments for sure. And I love that we get to see Melinda Clarke naked. And I love all the Brian Yuzna effects that you always get in Brian Yuzna films, like Society and Bride of Reanimator. The zombie effects in this movie are probably the best in the franchise. I said it. Love this sequel. My favorite sequel, Return of the Living Dead 3. It's my number 2. Number 1, though, goes to one of the best zombie movies ever made, next to Dead Alive, aka Brain Dead, and that is Return of the Living Dead Part 1 by Dan O'Bannon. And this one just has the best characters. It's got the more iconic moments, and it's got Tarman, an awesome looking zombie. You got Trash with her monologue about death and taking her clothes off. Linnea Quigley, just the best cast ever with James Cameron. You got Tom Matthews. You got Miguel Nunez Jr., I think that's how you say his name, from all kinds of horror movies. Demon from Friday the 13th Part 5. You just got so many familiar faces in here, and the humor works the best for me out of the whole franchise. I just love this movie. It flies by the quickest. It's the best paced. I love the hammy performances in this movie by like James Cameron, and I just absolutely dig this kick-ass soundtrack as well. It's got the best soundtrack of like any horror movie, and I just cannot recommend this movie highly enough. It is a classic, and if you haven't seen it, it's a must-watch for horror fans, and especially for zombie fans. Return of the Living Dead is my number 1, and also probably my number 1 zombie flick, so check it out. And that is my ranking of the Return of the Living Dead franchise. What is your ranking? Let me know in the comments below. And keep an eye out for my next franchise that I'll be starting next Wednesday. I'm not sure what it'll be, but I think I know. I have an idea. I have a couple ideas floating around. I'm not sure which one I'm going to go with, which franchise, but you'll find out next Wednesday. So let me know, again, what you think about this franchise in the comments below. And if you like what you've seen here, you can hit this like button and become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And until next time, auf Wiedersehen.